November 18th, 1952. Somewhere off Korea, the sea is iron gray, the wind is brutal, and 4 Navy Panthers are about to launch into history. Lt Royce Williams settles into his jet with the quiet focus of a man who expects danger, but not the kind waiting for him today. Williams and his section press toward enemy territory, just miles from the Soviet frontier, where one mistake can ignite something far bigger than Korea. Then, the radio snaps alive. Unknown aircraft are heading south. The strike is canceled. The fleet must be protected at any cost. Far to the north, Soviet controllers have seen the Americans too. Orders race through a hidden network of radios, maps, and guarded intent. 7 MiG-15s launch from their base, sleek, fast, and deadly, the pride of Soviet air power, climbing hard toward the intruders. The Panthers rise through cloud and sunlight, looking for threats they cannot yet see, while the enemy already hunts from above. Then everything starts going wrong. Mechanical trouble forces the section leader to turn back, taking one more jet out of the fight. In seconds, 4 aircraft become 2. Williams and his wingman are now the only shield between the fleet and the oncoming attackers. Above them, the MiGs divide with practiced precision. They are not improvising. They are descending into a planned kill. The first attack comes out of nowhere. Gunfire, shock, and a blur of silver wings ripping through the formation. Williams throws the Panther into a hard break, feeling the aircraft shudder as cannon fire claws past his canopy. One enemy pass becomes another, then another. There is barely time to breathe, let alone fight back. The Panther is sturdy and responsive, but this is not its ideal battle. The MiGs are faster, higher, and built for exactly this kind of duel. Then an opening appears. One Soviet fighter streaks too far through the attack, and Williams snaps in behind it. His guns finally speak. The burst lands clean, and the first MiG peels away, trailing smoke into the vast blue below. His wingman chases the crippled jet, leaving Williams alone for a heartbeat. And that heartbeat is all the enemy needs. As one fighter flashes past, Williams sees the marking clearly. These are not North Koreans. These are Soviets. He reports what he has seen, but the revelation changes nothing. The shooting has already started, and history rarely pauses for clarification. Back at command, the message is immediate: avoid escalation. But warnings sent from safety arrive too late for men already inside the fire. Williams has only one answer left. He is already engaged. There will be no diplomatic version of the next few minutes. The Soviets reset above him, climbing like arrows toward the sun, before rolling over for another attack. Instead of running, Williams points straight at them. It becomes a brutal, head-on contest of nerve, timing, and survival. 10-second near-miss sequence. Shells flash beneath cockpit. Debris flicks past. No confirmed hits. Both sides blast through the merge. Then, more contrails appear, from the opposite side. The fight widens instantly. What was dangerous becomes nearly impossible. Now, 6 enemy fighters are hunting one American jet, and every direction feels like the wrong one. MiGs slash past so closely that the sky stops feeling open and starts feeling crowded, mechanical, and lethal. For a second, skill beats numbers. Williams slips in behind part of the formation and forces the hunters to think about being hunted. One Soviet pilot climbs toward the sun, using light itself as camouflage. It is a veteran move, and it works. Williams loses the sight picture in the glare and has to break away before a perfect shot turns into a fatal mistake. The moment he turns out of the sun, 2 more MiGs are already charging straight at him. The moment he turns out of the sun, 2 more MiGs are already charging straight at him. This time, Williams' burst finds the cockpit. The enemy's fire suddenly stops, and the MiG falls out of the fight. On pure instinct, he squeezes off another burst at a passing target, and scores again before his mind can even catch up. The Soviet leader turns back, furious now, no longer conducting an intercept, but a personal reckoning in the sky. Another head-on pass. Another burst. Metal tears free from the MiG, and the Soviet commander breaks off, smoking. Then, the fight turns. A hidden MiG gets in behind him and lands a devastating burst into the Panther. Hydraulics are shredded. Control surfaces are compromised. In an instant, his fighter stops behaving like a fighter. Every movement now feels heavy and late. The jet answers him slowly, like it is deciding whether to stay alive. The pursuing MiG senses weakness and stays locked behind him, pumping shell after shell into the wounded aircraft. With lateral control failing, Williams invents a new escape, riding the nose up and down, turning altitude into survival. 10,000 feet below, the cloud layer becomes the only shelter he has left, and he dives for it like a drowning man toward air. At the edge of disaster, his wingman reappears. One sudden burst of friendly fire that tears the hunter off his tail. For the first time in what feels like hours, there is space, cloud, and silence. Williams is still alive. Now comes a different kind of terror. Flying a broken jet back to a moving ship in heavy weather. Ejecting into that water would mean minutes of life at best. Landing is the only option, no matter how impossible it looks. On the carrier, the crew prepares for a crash landing. Every man on deck knows they may be about to watch a funeral. The storm becomes their unlikely ally. The ship turns into the wind, squeezing every advantage from sea and engine. When the gear comes down, the Panther grows even harder to manage. The aircraft starts wandering away from the deck centerline. He is not lined up. He knows it. The ship knows it. And there is no fuel, no control authority, and no second attempt. So the captain makes a remarkable decision. If the pilot cannot straighten to the ship will straighten to the pilot. The deck surges up. 500 yards, 200, 100. In a broken machine, Williams commits completely. The Panther hits the deck at punishing speed, slamming metal onto metal with enough force to destroy both man and machine. Then, the cable bites. The wounded aircraft jerks to a stop, and against every expectation, Royce Williams survives. The damage is staggering. Holes across the fuselage, a ruined wing, crippled controls. It is almost impossible that the Panther stayed in one piece.
It's in one piece.
What happened next did not become a headline. It became a secret, buried beneath edits, reports, and careful silence. For decades, the truth remained locked away, while the man at the center of it kept his story largely to himself. Only much later did recognition begin to catch up with reality, as history slowly corrected what politics had once concealed. In one freezing sky over Korea, courage, skill, and endurance held the line, and one damaged Panther carried a legend home.